Looking at Cuz's regular season and performance yesterday, this man is yet to lose a game in 2018. He's played quite a wealth of champions in the form of Nidalee, Jax, but yesterday we saw him on the Zac. Engage seems to be the name of the game for Cuz. The question is, will he look to replicate that as Kingzone has their rematch versus Fnatic?
And they actually gave a lot of insight into why they use Cuz and the differences between Cuz and Peanut in their interview yesterday. He said that BDD specifically will get to tell Cuz and work with Cuz about what he's doing in the early game, whereas if Peanut is in, then it's mostly Peanut telling BDD what he wants to do and having the team follow up.
Look at me, I am in charge now, and the difference of what the players bring. Of course, you mentioned the Zac. Various, it was Zac being piloted by Peanut. That didn't help them last time they played Fnatic, and that was how Fnatic was able, one of the ways they were able to twist the screws and pick up a win. Tristana, Ezreal, Sivir, the last bands, as well as a Trundle first pick.
I think this is quite interesting because so far this year, Cuz is yet to show Graves on the competitive stage. Even though he hasn't had that many games, Fnatic seem to be challenging the fact that we don't mind if you want to play this champion because we feel that with Trundle right now, it would give us the best possible jungle matchup.
And when we're looking at Kingzone and the strategies that have been successful for them, it has usually been when they play an offensive tempo, split pushing across the map, 1-3-1, trying to play off early game pressure into an entire map weight presence. And here we go, Camille already locked in. That could be a jungler for Cuz, high tempo ganking, but probably is going to go to Khan.
Remember the last time that these two top laners met, Bwipo had Khan's number. He was playing the Ornn into the Vladimir, forcing him underneath the tower, forcing him back, and that is actually what enabled Fnatic to get a lot of their early game lead.
And that's an insane statement to hear at this tournament where Khan coming in is supposed to be the #1 top laner in the entire world, especially in 1v1 matchups, especially in carry matchups, and Bwipo is a rookie here substituting in for Fnatic, but that's just the way that this tournament has gone.
Well, where Bwipo lacks in experience, he definitely makes up for it in gusto, that is for sure. Talking about gusto, wind walls aplenty, there's most likely Caps as Yasuo.
I saw Caps in the makeup room this morning, and I was like, hey, you're gonna listen to Reddit and pick carries only, no more supports? How about all Yasuo all day? And he was like, well, if they leave it open, then I will. And he has lived up to his word.
Interesting that they would lock it in so early, but we do know that Caps is not afraid to just blind pick this champion. I feel like that it might shift the priority from BDD into just going for heavy wave clear and roam because he does not want to sit in this mid lane, and that's why Galio is the immediate thought that came to mind.
Yeah, there's been so much discussion since Yasuo has kind of exploded in this tournament of all mid laners across the world that aren't even playing right now about, oh, what counter matchups you want to play into it. And Ryze was kind of one of the big ones that rose up, but this is very clearly BDD playing for the team. This is not about, the 1v1 matchup with Yasuo.
Well, when you've got a Kai'Sa and a Camille, I can understand why. Definitely great combinations there. The Jhin into Kai'Sa, that's a little bit surprising to me, but with Tristana, Ezreal, and Sivir off the table, Reckless has to drop down his priorities.
Again, even though Reckless did not have a good performance in his Jhin game, Jhin has a lot of, early damage, can have a very good lane phase, and that's what people have been looking at when the Kai'Sa is picked, because Kai'Sa right now, scaling is insane on this champion, so most of the strategies revolve around trying to have a strong laning phase against her, which would also require, a range support or, an advantage support, at least in the 2 versus 2, to try and keep her down and keep her from building into the Rage Blade and into those multipliers.
But I'm looking at this composition right now as a whole from Kingzone, and right now it's looking like team fighting. Yes, they do have split pushing and 1-3-1 options available, but as you highlighted already, Kobe, the scaling option of the Kai'Sa means that getting into these late game fights, Kingzone have a lot of options to start these fights, whereas Fnatic, they don't have a huge amount of options. Their composition is a little all over the place right now.
Exactly, that's been the beauty of Kingzone. Even if you want to have a big fight and get 5 kills, they set it up by splitting across the map so they can get an advantage initiation, they can catch someone off guard. They have the long range initiation dream combo of Camille jumping in, Hextech ultimatum, you lock someone in, Galio ultimate comes down, they cannot escape the knockup. And so you get yourselves a numbers advantage before trying to kill the rest of the team.
I mean, I love that. It leans into all the strengths that Kingzone can operate under. Now they've got a Thresh to complement that Kai'Sa. Definitely not the pick I was anticipating, but another exciting option for Kingzone.
I'm just looking across the draft right now, and you can see so many supports have been banned away. Alistair, Tom, Rakan, Morg, Braum, all taken off the board, and that means that Thresh is a very easy pick. The question is, what do you draft into it? And I think it is the Trundle that they could flex down into that support position. Remember, it's not something that we very commonly see. You typically just automatically place it in the jungle, and with the Scion locked in, you have the tendency to put him up in the top lane, and now they could lock themselves in a jungle if they wanted to.
It would be interesting if Fnatic lock in another tank here, though. They would be very heavily attack damage. Only little bits of magic damage coming from most of the tanks here. Good thing for them, though, is that Yasuo, of course, is going to take Conquer, so you get some true damage conversion, and also the ultimate will be able to penetrate armor on your targets. That being said, though, Galio might be able to be a big boy, and if they
this would be Camille jungle, as you mentioned. If it gets locked in, of course, let's see what Khan decides to go into the Scion. It will be the GP, so Camille jungle.
And Camille jungle is a jungle that you want to have a lot of early action on. Sometimes they'll even just do one buff to get level 2 and go for a level 2 gank. The hook shot is one of the best ganking abilities that you can have early on in the game, especially when people don't have boots. Very difficult to dodge that ability, and the range is increased when you're going towards a champion, so you have a lot of options.
So with the draft that Kingzone have picked themselves up, it is very much geared towards playing at the bottom lane, getting Prey into a good setup, heading towards the mid late game, but also just the amount of globals that they have. You have Engage, you have Lockdown with the Camille Galio, you have the gang playing ultimate to have control over the side lanes, and overall, their scaling towards the mid late game is just terrifying. This Kingzone draft just speaks Kingzone in spades, playing the 1-3-1, having the ability to fight, and looking at Prey to be one of the big carries.
I really do like that swap there, to have the Camille as a jungle, because oftentimes...
Wait, this is a support Sejuani.
Support Sejuani here, going to be in the bottom lane.
This is a support
Fnatic. He has not swapped.
Okay, so how does this change the equation during the laning phase?
Well, it does give a lot of possible setups for ganks down bottom, crowd control, because if you have a Trundle pillar coming from the gank, Sejuani can stack up the passives and get her stuns down. But yeah, that is not the norm.
Definitely not. Now, let's see whether or not this Glacial Prison will have any impact on any potential tower dives. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a Sejuani support. I'm going to lay the stakes out for this game as simply as I can. If Kingzone win, they lock a top 4 seed and guarantee themselves a showdown in Paris. For Fnatic, if they win, they at least guarantee a tiebreaker game at the end of the regularly scheduled group stage. Because of course Fnatic will be playing EVOS later today. We need to look at Team Liquid's impacts. But let's turn our attentions to this game, because I want to remind you guys that Fnatic beat Kingzone the last time they played. Of course, it was Peanut playing Zac in the jungle, it was Khan playing Vlad in the top lane, but Fnatic just played exceptionally well.
Yeah, I was kind of impressed with the draft that Fnatic had picked themselves up, because last time, it all started with Prey getting caught out at level 1. He gave away first blood, he allowed Fnatic to get a very early lead, especially in the jungle, and then Broxah just controlled Peanut. He stole so many camps, he had full control over the enemy red buff, and he just denied Peanut getting involved in the game as much as possible. And Fnatic, off this early game gold lead, they never really let it go.
And especially looking at the compositions in this time around, even though Cuz is in instead of Peanut like we had last time, especially with Camille, as we've been saying, the early game is so important. And even though we said the Galio, probably not about the 1v1 there with caps on Yasuo, if you have a Camille, everything changes, because there is a lot of kill pressure onto a melee champion in the mid lane if there are 2 forms of crowd control. Galio can easily set up those hook shots to land.
And I love the use that Camille has of the Trundle pillar itself. Whenever you try to use it up, you can then use it as a slingshot for your own stun. But I'm fascinated as to how this Sejuani is going to work into the Thresh. Honestly, never really seen it. I've seen it in a few of my own solo queue games, but outside of that, you have a lot of engage tools and potential setup for the Jhin, but I'm curious as to how it's going to work into this Thresh.
Yeah, the other thing that's very big about Sejuani, kind of unique to the champion, is the passive. All the extra armor that you're going to get for little bursty trades. So once the passive is up, you can see the blue shield above her head right now. You can try and go for a trade during that duration and then back off afterwards. Jhin is an AD carry that's very good at bursty trades. Because he doesn't get more attack speed, though, you always want to be able to use, an auto, a grenade, maybe a W, and then leave it at that, and not let the more attack speed-based AD carries have a long time to take advantage.
Well, we haven't seen too many trading yet. Praying Gorilla shoved this wave in. They got the early level 2. Here's one of the early ganks that Kobe, you were trying to set up during draft, but there is a Fnatic ward, so Bwipo will have some information.
Yeah, Cuz gonna walk over here. Bwipo should be just fine.
Assuming he respects Cuz, you can see he's playing very far away from the river, and Cuz should read that, okay, Bwipo has a bit of an idea. And now, Kingzone, they're just trying to set up a bit of defensive vision because they recognize, okay, if Broxah knows that Cuz is topside, he could look for a couple of invades, and we have 2 camps up available to us, so let's just make sure we have the river warded so we know where Broxah and what he's up to.
Yeah, and that actually gives a lot of information away. Caps should also know that Cuz would be coming from the top side.
A little damage going down. Pillar of Ice comes out. Cuz decides to engage. Windwall blocks a lot of damage, and despite Kingzone coming away worse for wear, nothing further than that. Steel Tempest manages to tag, and there we go. An Arctic Assault into Prey, looking for that permafrost. Death Sentence will find Hylissang on the Sejuani. Takes a gigantic chunk once that plasma is bursted down. Now Cuz and Broxah, they're going to trade. There's a fight in the mid lane as well. Trade for trade. Smite fight for health. Caps now to 200 HP. Steel Tempest goes out. Will not find a target. Cuz flashes over the wall. First blood to Fnatic. They follow up on the bottom lane. Hylissang goes over with the assault. Kingzone bounce one back before Broxah jumps BDD down.
Fnatic just find 3 kills 4 minutes into the game. This is a fantastic early game start for Fnatic, but Kingzone, what was that?
Oh my goodness, they wanted to force a little bit too hard, it looked like, and Fnatic with the huge punishment there, getting kills across the river.
This is exactly the kind of early game start that Fnatic would want. Getting the Asro ahead, getting him to those early item spikes so you can use him in a side lane, have him be that skirmish master. But to find it this early on, the fact that Cuz sitting in the river alone, trying to go for that trade onto Broxah, let's see exactly what broke down.
All right, so again, Broxah here on the Trundle, an amazing duelist. Cuz just walks up to him. He does smite, both of them smite the Scuttle Crab for extra health. But Caps also coming down the river first means that he's going to be able to finish this one off with his flash. And Broxah answering so that even though he does go down, Broxah is able to finish that one up as well.
And while all that was going on, this is the bot lane play where Gorilla, he's trying to move up to assist Cuz, and he's just not respecting the chase power of Fnatic. So they just secure a very easy kill onto Gorilla. Prey ends up using all of his summoner spells, and now Kingzone's 2v2 is the one that fall behind.
Yeah, so much CC in this Jhin and Sejuani lane down bottom. And they're able to use it extremely effectively. You can see there was no hesitation from Hylissang flashing over to finish off the kill for them.
Definitely something we've said a lot in the past. No hesitation from Hilly. It gives Fnatic a 1200 gold lead. And next level, if at level 6 with Gangplank ulti, with Galio ulti, bot lane party is going to be the flavor of the game, Fnatic just accelerated that tempo. Hylissang, with the help of Sejuani and Bristle, definitely doing a lot of work. And Reckless doing the usual thing. Tier 2 boots already. He's got those Swifties. And we've seen this sort of Zeal item rush gen becoming more and more standard as we see more games at MSI.
And now, we've talked a lot about the bot and mid side of the map, but we've also got to keep our eyes on the top side because Khan is playing the Gangplank, something that can have a lot of global pressure due to his ultimate, but typically in the early laning phase, Gangplank struggles against the Scion. If you run Grasp, the matchup becomes a lot easier, but we did see a little earlier on how hard Bwipo was able to force Khan out of lane, and has now started to build up a very small CS advantage, but even with a CS differential, because Khan has decided to go for Klepto, he should stay relatively even in terms of gold.
I just think it's such a big story that Fnatic have gotten this early lead over Kingzone. They're about to get checked at Dragon right now, though. We'll see if they can hold this lead.
Oh, just a quick stat before we get into the fight. This could be Fnatic's first Infernal. It is secured, and the first of MSI. Broxah doesn't have flash available to him, so he's stuck inside the pit. They get the GP ult, they get the Galio ult for just the kill. I'm not sure if that's worth it.
That is an amazing trade for Fnatic. All right, here we go, though. Okay, the hook shot, I thought it was going to be towards the mid lane, but that is such a good trade for Fnatic. Those cooldowns you mentioned, Trevor, are very big for Kingzone. So much of their playmaking gone.
Oh, Caps on, flare up, will be able to get the kill, not just yet. Bwipo comes in with the unstoppable onslaught. They decide to jump onto BDD, but look at that damage reduction and the taunt. BDD's able to escape. Bwipo not going to find the roam.
And it's good of Bwipo to try this roam because it's one of the things you have to try and do if you're the Scion in the top lane. Typically you have pressure over the Gangplank. He has his ultimate to impact the rest of the map, so you've got to use yours by roaming down. BDD had no flash, but he was too close to his tower for Fnatic to secure a kill. So just a bit of pressure gained, and I'm quite interested in how this trade overall worked out because the Infernal will overall benefit Fnatic in the long run.
Yeah, I think it's so good for Fnatic because if you look at what Kingzone are trying to do, Camille is not going to be able to out-farm or anything. A lot of her pressure comes from those ganks, comes from the ultimate combination. So Fnatic definitely have a lot more breathing room. The Galio ultimate level 1, quite a long cooldown, and that's not going to be available for Kingzone and trying to play any sort of surprise plays that they're going to try and pull off.
Well, talking about surprise plays, Broxah and Kuz are making their way down to this bottom lane. Pry is going to use the E, get the speed boost up and dash to the side. Prey gets away with his life. Kuz has not engaged yet. He's finally joining the fight as the teleports were cancelled. The Hextech ultimatum is dropped onto Broxah. Subjugates by some time, but simply not enough. The crit is not going to kill Prey, and that's going to be an escape. Kingzone get the kill.
The teleport is canceled there from BDD, but because Kuz makes it down there, they're actually able to take the kill off of Fnatic, and a much-needed victory there for Kingzone.
Yeah, the arrival of Kuz really did swing that fight, and initially I thought the setup was great for Fnatic because Kingzone's bot lane had used a lot of their summoners earlier on, but a lot of time has passed. Prey had his heal and the exhaust was back up. Even with no flashes, they were able to maneuver out of that situation and Prey a good use of his ultimate to create space.
You can see what Fnatic were thinking though, and the idea I think was correct. Those cooldowns we talked about, the Gangplank ultimate and the Galio ultimate not available, that's your opening to try and make a play bottom. But they were unable to capitalize on it, and that is a huge victory there for Kingzone. See if that is enough for them to stabilize.
It keeps the gold very close as we get to 10 minutes. CS numbers, even in the top lane, but look, Caps is plus 20 over BDD. As it stands, Reckless with that early kill and the pressure that Gorilla and Prey were under. Also, a small advantage until the wave is cleared. You can see the minions being pushed towards Reckless, so he'll climb ahead momentarily.
Also just got told that it was in fact Caps that interrupted BDD's teleport, which is why he wasn't able to get down towards the bot side. Ultimately, it did still result in an advantage for Kingzone, but we got to keep track of the gold difference between the two top laners as well, because one of the big reasons why the gold is being kept so close is the Gangplank. He's staying relatively even with Bwipo in the 1 versus 1, but the Kleptomancy is resulting in a pretty significant gold advantage that is keeping Kingzone relatively close.
All right, Pillar into Last Breath. That's what's going to happen. Pillar comes down, Last Breath lands. BDD flashes for his life and their support. Here comes Prey with that killer instinct. Caps has already used the ulti and Kuz was around. So anyway, just a trade of ultimates, but BDD's flash.
Yeah, because they also rotated there, you lose out on some tempo, and you can see now they're having a hard time getting down to that bottom wave that's been pushed into the turret.
There's no teleport on BDD! He finished the recall! Prey is going to flash to safety, manages to escape with his life. The Ignite is ticking down. Here comes a heroic entrance, and Gorilla escapes with his life. Caps gets one! For two! Caps' Yasuo is beautiful!
Once the Galio ultimate comes down and you see the hook go out from Gorilla, Caps is like, well, I guess I'm in here. I'm going for the dive. And he gets two. Wind wall one way, then moving his mouse the entire opposite side of the screen, able to hit Prey as well and pick up the extra kill.
Caps on, flares up. Yep. This man is a god. That was unbelievable. What a play from Caps. This is why they ban his Yasuo.
And of course on the other side, Kingzone, they countered as well as they could. Prey with an insta-flash under pressure. But take a look at this replay brought to you by Ace of Predator.
So now, Hylissang recognizes he has everything, and Kingzone's bot lane just used a bunch of ults. With Galio out of the equation, they think they can chase this. Caps, he overcommits just a little bit because Gorilla, he's stuck behind the pillar now and doesn't have the win wall.
Need another fight. Pillar into ultimate. All right, Hextech ultimatum comes down. Kuz is running for his life. Manages to escape for now, and not done yet. Caps gets a knock-up with the Steel Tempest. Here comes Broxah, subjugates up in a few seconds. And Fnatic, they are playing this one with fisticuffs.
Yeah, you're going to have to run once that Conqueror is procced. I mean, there's no way anyone on Kingzone ever gets to a tanky state. So it's all going to be about how the crowd control is used. The only one would be BDD if he went for more tanky sets, but there's a Trundle on Fnatic's side. So one tank compositions don't really have a lot of effectiveness if Broxah is around to use his ultimate and shred those resistances.
Exactly as you said, Kobe. Camille wants lots of fights. I didn't quite think Camille would be the one being jumped on as frequently, but Fnatic are using this composition very proactively.
Yeah, so I want to take this opportunity because we've had a lot of action in this early game, gentlemen, and in terms of the compositions, what does a lot of this early game mean? Because the thing with Fnatic's comp, when you have the Yasuo, he is amazing in the side lane. When you kind of compare him to things like BDD's Galio and Khan's Gangplank, you know he's going to win out on those 1v1s. And typically his laning phase is pretty weak. We don't have time, so there's another fight.
We do indeed. The stopwatch's use of Gorilla stays alive for a few seconds longer, but not too much. Subjugate thrown down by Broxah. Look at the support. Kuz has made his way down. And I'm holding my breath, waiting for an engage, which does not come.
Yeah, it was kind of an early subjugate. I think that they were expecting a Galio ultimate to come fairly soon, but because of the pace of this game, it's not back up yet.
Unfortunately, our lovely observers have brought up for us the 1v2 from the Yasuo. You can see, oh, just so beautiful from Caps.
I mean, yeah, that's a situation where you have to play well to gain something out of a bad situation, where he's locked under turret, multiple crowd control abilities have been used. Topside, though, Khan also going to have to pull some fancy moves.
He does indeed. Khan was able to sidestep the Sion ultimate. BDD's completed his teleport. Now, Bwipo's got flash available to him. And may need to use it, holding on to his nerve for now. It's still only 1,000 gold game and action aplenty.
And remember, the Kai'Sa that we warned against in the early game, that once Prey starts to building up items, it's going to be very scary here, as the Rage Blade is going to be the first one completed, so he's going to go for the invisibility upgrade first, it looks like, especially with the Berserker Greaves already grabbed.
I will say that Kingzone's composition overall is still relatively squishy. They have no frontline tank. You always look at Galio and think he is kind of tanky. The taunt gives you a lot of damage reduction. His ultimate in there as well. But he usually builds full AP. And going for an early Rod of Ages is what it looks like. You would expect BDD to continue that trend. And for a Yasuo, that's only going to make his side lane and late game even more threatening.
Yeah, people often oversimplify the term scaling. And they always look at damage scaling. You're like, oh my goodness, a Camille, that's a good one for scaling. Can do a lot of damage. Gangplank can do a lot of damage. Kai'Sa as well. But tank scaling is also very important. And as we mentioned before, the Trundle ultimate definitely throws another wrinkle into it. So you have to be very cautious about oversimplifying those sorts of things. Currently, though, a lot of pings here around the Cloud Drake as they move into the river for vision.
Looking at the minimap, Fnatic got a number of wards. Tower First Blood is still available. Brox is going to challenge Kuz for this blue buff, or as I thought he was, before he decides to back away. Looking at Hilly and Reckless's positioning, they're still just pushing Kingzone back.
If Fnatic's main goal is to secure this bot tier 1, Kingzone have really struggled. Just a bit of trading back and forth. Kingzone have really struggled so far to utilize their globals to force plays in the bot, but both are available right now. We could see another fight.
We can indeed. Kuz is already going to be jumping onto Caps. Caps will get bursted down before this fight has even begun. Gangplank ulti thrown into the tri-bush, and Kuz, along with Kingzone, equal a kill score 5-5.
Very good use there by Kingzone, playing counter to Fnatic's aggression, while Fnatic were split up on two different fronts there, and now on top side as well.
A little bit of trading back and forth. I think that barrel was just killed as Bwipo takes it down, and that means Kingzone take the gold lead.
I feel like Kingzone just read Fnatic's game plan like a book. They recognized that they're going to send full members bot. BDD was in a position to ulti and counter engage, and Kingzone just preventing Fnatic from finding the early map control that they want. The gold is now dead even, and Kingzone in this kind of position are much more favored when trying to force plays and force fights.
Yeah, the game state very similar still, as the first turret bonus gold is a huge objective. In addition to the Cloud Drake being active right now, means that the bottom side of the map is going to be the focus.
It will. Kuz goes in with that sweep, and no ultimate available to him. BDD was making his way first to leave mid lane.
The other thing is that League of Legends definitely has different power swings here. As both ultimates were used, you mentioned the Gangplank and the Galio, now Fnatic could return to the same objective and not have to worry about those Kingzone ultimates that they just previously were punished by.
Now, Fnatic, they can very easily set up for this tower because they know the ultis are down. They have full vision on where BDD is, and with Prey and Gorilla going back to base to finally pick up their Rage Blades, Fnatic secure themselves the first tower along with the early Cloud.
Second Drake of the game. Fnatic take first tower in 5 out of the 9 games that they have played thus far. And while all of Fnatic are down in the bottom lane, Khan's just going to sneak away the Sentinel. He's going to be climbing ahead as far as the gold is concerned. With the Klepto and the Gangplank, he's already 1,700 gold up over Bwipo. And we need to keep a very close eye on how he puts those powder cakes together as these skirmishes and mid-game fights play out.
And he is the reason why the goal looks so close right now, because look, the difference between the supports, you can see the big, or the slight increase for Reckless in the mid and jungle as well, and it's basically just Khan making sure that this early deficit that Kingzone found themselves in is not as extreme as you would think.
And Kingzone fans are going to be very critical of Khan if he's not able to chain barrels to the backline and deal the necessary damage to Caps and Reckless, the important carries on Fnatic later in the game. Khan has had a very up and down tournament so far, not really performing to expectations. And since he is the one here on Gangplank really stacking up for the team, he's definitely going to have to perform this time around.
And both teams really want this win as well, because Fnatic, they want to create a larger gap between them and Team Liquid. If they find this win here, then Team Liquid are forced to win both of their games to even have an opportunity for the tiebreaker, whereas Kingzone, they're looking to secure themselves that semi-final spot and potentially contest the first place seed.
Most definitely. That's where they imagine themselves being, and kind of their rightful spot. Currently, starting up the Rift Herald here for Fnatic. They retain control of the neutral areas of the map.
Looking for the challenge though. Big chunk of damage onto Prey. Needs to use that supercharge once again to escape. He's got the Rage Blade picked up, and I think Broxer going for the smite there, because hops over the wall, hops back out, and pretty easy escape. But look at Fnatic. They've grouped. They've got some presence in the mid lane, and they may set up for the tower.
I think they're going for an engage onto Reckless.
Reckless with a very early flash. Gangplank ultimate comes down. Whipper waiting in the wings. Now he's locked in place by the Hextech ultimatum. Remember, Sejuani ultimate not available. Whipper caught in the winds of war and sent into zombie mode.
And the reason for that early flash is because they knew the engagement was coming. If you get locked in from Hextech ultimatum, guaranteed death there from the Galio combo. Fnatic do trade on top side, but Kingzone aren't done pushing.
No, they're not. Arctic Assault to dodge that death sentence. Fnatic trying their best to defend the wave. The bouncing grenade does some work, but a deadly flourish will not lock down anybody from Kingzone. Kingzone are backing away. Look at the teleport from BDD. I believe that's to stop Caps, and yes, it is. He's chipped a third of the HP in the top inner.
So Fnatic, they didn't quite have the wave clear to keep Kingzone from pressing their advantage in the middle lane. So by keeping Caps towards the top side, they forced BDD to respond, and at the very least, Fnatic was sitting there like, okay, we either defend our turret or they trade, and that was the best case scenario, especially seeing as throughout that entirety, Khan was just sitting in the bot lane pushing.
Here's another look at it. As you said, Reckless going to early flash so he doesn't get locked in. Then Whippo trying to play the frontline him. Kingzone are like, all right, we'll take what we can get. Tanks are nothing here to Kaisa, and the rest of the team jumps right in on it.
Good use of the ultimate there from Prey as well to interrupt the ulti from Whippo so that he couldn't get out of that situation. Flashes were burnt on the side of Fnatic, and Reckless, he won't have that available the next time Cuz wants to try and set up this engage.
It's something that we see really differentiate the skill on the players of Kaisa here. You can use your killer instinct to jump to different sides of champions. Uzi did yesterday, dodging skill shots with it, and Prey here as well.
I'm going to take us back to something that Vedius was talking about a few moments ago in terms of the standings. As you rightly mentioned, Vedius, for Kingzone, win and you're in. You guarantee top 4, and then it's battle for seeding as the day goes. For Fnatic, at least you guarantee yourselves a tiebreaker if they can win this game. You can see how close Fnatic and Team Liquid are. 4-4, 3-5. And as each of the games go through, we'll keep updating you on the stakes and how it impacts everybody else. For now, Fnatic, they're not done. Look in the middle lane, they're putting some pressure on, and they've still got that Rift Herald if they need it.
And Kingzone are the team that should be setting the side lanes up a little easier before these mid lane confrontations. They have the Galio, the ultimate is coming up very soon for BDD, another 20 seconds or so. But Fnatic actually, good job here, not letting them get those 20 seconds. Rift Herald activation should push it enough that Kingzone won't quite have it.
All right, Galio ultimate is available if Kingzone fancy a chance, but Fnatic have peeled away. They just let the bop take the tower down.
Now I feel like we're reaching a point in the game where you ideally want to keep Caps in the same lane as Khan. Because in terms of the 1v1, Whippo shouldn't really be able to hold down the Gangplank anymore. 2 items have been completed, 225 farm, level 14 Gangplank is a terror for the Scion. Whereas Yasuo, with the Infinity Edge and the Phantom Dancer done, he should hold his own much better relative to Whippo.
And you can see Kingzone, how well they know how to play this style. The patience there, even because it's another 5 more seconds left on the cooldown. They don't overcommit to trying to defend that mid lane turret. they don't try and force it there. They know they have the time to try and push out and create a better opportunity for themselves.
Does this kill the whole wave? Wow, with the answer grenade.
2, 3. No 4 for Jin. Ah!
I was waiting for that final number, Kobe.
That's a baby rage for Jin.
It is indeed. Talking about Jin, by the way, Essence Reaver and Rapid Fire Cannon. Prey has just completed the Hurricane to go with the Rage Blade. So 2-item spikes across the board, and Baron becomes the next thing you start thinking about over the next few minutes.
Exactly that quick shot, because we're just looking at all the vision that has been set up around the top side of the map. Control wards largely littered the river from Fnatic, but Kingzone have been able to clear some of that out. Botlane, I believe, is slightly pushing in favor of Kingzone, and with teleport on Whippo, they can just send him down to answer that. And with the Drake up, though, I wonder how hard Kingzone will look for a fight.
All right, Flash not available on Reckless. He's already been chunked down and is killed. So much damage from Kingzone. They find a second and a third, and they might be peeling back for Baron.
Huge team fight for Kingzone. They have the Baron in their eyes. Even though it's early into the game, they capitalize on the Flash that's Reckless, and now they're looking to take control.
Again, the patience to look for a better setup, and they force the fight when Caps is in base. Now Baron has started.
Broxah did it twice yesterday, and he might need to do it again. There's a Flash and a Smite available. Killer Instinct not yet used by Prey. 3,000 hit points on Baron. Hop over the wall. Broxah's the target. Caps trying to zone away. That's a dodge away from the side. Baron is still being triggered as Caps goes down. Broxah will get killed, and Kingzone turn back to Baron.
Fnatic are not given the opportunity to steal away the Baron as Kingzone. They kill all 5 members. They have the Baron in their eyes, and this will be Kingzone taking full control of the first game of the day.
And a Baron buff on this team is going to empower their split push so much. We'll see how much they can actually get out of it. There's a tremendous amount of standing gold in these turrets for them to try and mine. This could be a very big swing in power for the game.
And it's just Kingzone utilizing their composition so effectively. Just recognize where Yasuo is on the map right now. He doesn't have the teleport to get involved. The long range E from Cuz enables him to get on top of Reckless, who is alone in the middle lane.
Yeah, even though Caps recalls on a ward and Kingzone have no way of knowing that he was in base, they see in the middle lane a good opportunity, and they're able to jump on it immediately. Now let's see what they can do afterwards, though, with their winnings.
So Kingzone jumped to 4,000 gold up. They've got pushing lanes. They took that mid-outer turret as well while we were in the replay. And as far as Baron control goes, Kingzone remain the #1 team. They've secured 10, more than any other team, and only conceded 4. Was conceded the lowest amount, despite the fact they have 3 wins to their name.
Khan is split pushing right now, and it's hard for Fnatic to push here on a Baron. So they're maybe going for a tower dive. That would probably be their only out.
All right, Glacial Prison is available. Here comes the unstoppable onslaught. BDD body blocks it for now. A deadly flourish buys some time as Caps is trying to get damage on the back end, but he's forced to use that stopwatch. Not going to be enough. They can't get through the single tank. Now Brox is in trouble. Kingzone fly halfway across the rift just to shut him down. It's a double kill for Prey.
Yeah, they forced themselves into a no-win situation here. Cuz now is still on the chase, and I believe he saw Hilly.
Yeah, BDD even teleported into Fnatic's base. The inhibitor turret will fall very, very shortly, while Cuz is jumping onto Hilly.
Prey coming down as well to finish it.
Arctic Assault not going to get him over the wall. Another kill to Kingzone. 15 in the game, as well as an inhibitor.
One Baron has snowballed out of control in favor of Kingzone. Fnatic, they're struggling to find answers. We talked about how their composition was a little bit all over the shop, whereas Kingzone's was fluid. You group up, you force fights, and they found those fights multiple times throughout this game.
Yeah, and Kingzone with their split push, preparing this, forcing Fnatic's hand. Because of the Baron empowered split on the top lane there from Khan, there was no other option for Fnatic. You have to try and force the fight, but that's right into Kingzone's hands.
Such a good job by Kingzone. The game now looks insurmountable, and he has a replay of that tower dive.
So, Kobe, you already highlighted it. Basically, Fnatic have to go for an all-in. Reckless is the damage from the long range, but it's Galio soaking up the brunt of it, while there's a tower on top of it. Even though the Gangplank takes a while to join the fray, his ulti is available, the tower acts as the 5th man, and the moment he TP's in, the fight is already won.
This is what people so often complain about when playing against Korean teams, is they force you into these no-win situations. You're choosing between 2 very bad choices for yourself. and they're able to get a lot out of it. One inhibitor down on top side now.
I mean, we saw Caps using that last breath onto BDD and not getting the damage dealers on the back line. And we're in the 30-minute mark. You've got two physical damage dealers that are 8,000, 9,000 gold down the opposite number. And while there is a kill now onto Cuz, this will alleviate some pressure. Fnatic need more. They need to do more. The death sentence bought some time. Prey uses the killer instinct to jump backwards as BDD joins the fray with the heroic entrance. In a 5-on-4, Fnatic still can't find the damage. Reckless needs a front line to get those shots off. BDD trying to jump onto Helisang now. I'm waiting for that taunt. Will lock him down. Winds of War and an auto takes him out as Khan is trying to steal away Wolfcamp. Caps now going to be jumped on by at least one carry. Prey will just run him down shortly. Caps, I think, trying to stack up that Q. 1v3 all of a sudden. Last breath still not available. It should just be a matter of time. And despite all the damage that Caps has, he's going to look for at least one kill. Sterix Gage buys some time. Jeez, Caps, never say die. Finally, Prey takes him down.
He does his best to buy time for his team, but you're seeing how difficult it is for this Yasuo pick to work against the Kingzone composition rather. It feels like they came in well prepared, and Prey, even in a 4 versus 5 situation, deals so much damage and positions so fluidly that Fnatic cannot stop him.
Yeah, it's not just Prey either. Khan there with some big AoE on the Gangplank allows them to win that 4v5. The Galio ultimate came down as well, and now Kingzone still pressing the attack here, knocking at the doors. Their bottom inhibitor turret is the next target. It's going to be a difficult defense.
For what we've seen from Fnatic, they're going to be willing to throw down. But it's exceptionally difficult with such a difference in itemization and gold, especially for Bwipo. He just can't stand toe-to-toe with all the damage dealers.
That was a bit of a bait.
Well, let's see what happens here. Kingzone, they make the Death Bush work, and they shut down Helisang.
Oof, another pick found for Kingzone. They don't need to back off right now. They could even run for a potential dive as the top lane is pushing in favor of Kingzone. Fnatic, they're on their last leg.
They really, really are. Kingzone looking to finish this game. Look at all the kills and assists for BDD, Prey, and Gorilla. 15, 18, 18 across the board. This could be the final fight here as Cuz decides to jump in. 13 seconds before Helisang can join the fight, and Fnatic are able to clear the wave. That will delay Kingzone for now. It's only 30 minutes in. 11,000 gold, but guys, we talked about picks and bans and how Kingzone's comp really wants to get Prey ahead. Use that Galio, use the Thresh. He's doing pretty well, and that's why there's a mountain of a gold deficit.
Yeah, that's one of the things about Gangplank as well. You know, the ultimate helps get your bottom side ahead. If Gangplank's not pressured in the 1v1, then he just farms up and he becomes an extremely strong carry as well. And Kingzone have been utilizing their guaranteed Camille Galio combination extremely well.
Fnatic at a 10,000 gold deficit. In terms of options that they have available, they're rather limited. In terms of the 5v5, we've seen multiple times Fnatic have struggled to come out ahead. Even though Yasuo would be strong in the 1v1, with his Guardian Angel completed, I don't think that that's going to be enough, considering that their top inhib is down right now and Baron is spawning in about 20 seconds. So for Kingzone, they're likely just going to secure that objective and then look to start the siege once more.
For any North American fans watching this game, they have gigantic grins on their faces. If Kingzone close this out, Fnatic will have the same number of losses as Team Liquid. That makes the Team Liquid games all the more interesting as we play out for the day. Kingzone, however, will clinch top 4. That means there will be 3 teams doing battle for the final 2 seeds. Fnatic are not done yet. They're going to start challenging and threatening around Baron. Teleports up for Khan, though. He's in the bottom lane.
Again, it's that situation. Kingzone forcing Fnatic.
All right, take a look at this. Cuz has already found Reckless. Reckless is jumping backwards. He's gone golden to survive a few seconds longer. Cuz goes down. GA is popped. Reckless is jumped on by Prey, and he survives long enough to turn around. Cuz has respawned, and Fnatic's frontline are doing work. Look at the shots. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fires. Not going to be enough to take down Cuz. Zombie Popo interrupted. And now Broxa and Reckless running for their lives. Fnatic almost winning this team fight, but at what cost?
And BDD is going to be the bouncer there, trying to zone Reckless out of his own base, so he's going to walk into the bottom jungle and not allow them home.
It started so good. Take a look at Reckless looking for the shots. Not enough crit. Gorilla survives. The goal difference is simply too big. A flash from Broxa means BDD won't take him out. Importantly, nobody got the Baron, But now look at the death time as 40 seconds for Reckless.
Kingzone have a minion wave in the bottom lane. They have 4 members. While Kingzone won't secure the Baron, they should take more of the base from Fnatic. It was a very close fight, but it is still the LCK's representatives that come out on top.
2 inhibitors now down for Fnatic, and Kingzone should be able to reset after this, head straight over to Baron where they have their control wards. It seems like they have a pretty clear path here towards the end of the game.
Oh man, Fnatic, if they were not 10k gold down, they hadn't slowly fallen to pieces, but here's a replay of that Baron fight.
So the big thing is the Trundle pillar here onto the Galio, preventing him from getting involved in the middle of the fight, and Reckless could then reposition. Then you have the damage from Hylissang and Reckless coming out onto Prey to burst him down, and then you have the Yasuo, who's really struggling to have an impact on the fight as he's fighting both Khan and the Baron. And unfortunately, he cannot turn the fight in his team's favor. As you mentioned, the team fight goal difference is just too big in favor of Kingzone, and now they can just reset as they gear towards the Baron.
Yeah, time is not working in Fnatic's favor. The super minions are pressing in, and Kingzone pretty much have the Baron already.
Yeah, completely unchallenged. 14,000 gold up. That gives them 11 Barons across the 9 games that they've played. Conceded only 4. And for Fnatic, Supers in the bottom lane will be there for a few minutes longer. I think the top lane should respawn relatively soon, in fact, if there's any silver lining. But it just doesn't feel like a Jhin on the defensive against all of these divers and damage has enough bullets in that gun to take them out.
It's also extremely difficult for Caps to be able to contest in these team fights. Like, you're being forced multiple times into a 5v5, and with Kingzone's comp, Yasuo just cannot consistently get the damage out.
Oh, swing and a miss from Hylissang. That Glacial Prison did nothing. Kaz jumps onto Hilly. He's forced to retreat. Look at the Fnatic health bars. They are obliterated. Khan flashes in for the parlay, but it's not a parlay he's looking for. It's the death of Fnatic. Bwipo's the last man standing as Kingzone are wrecking the base. Death Sentence will even connect, and Zombie Bwipo watches Prey take him down. Nexus turrets are dropping, and Kingzone crush Fnatic to qualify for the semifinals.
Expertly played by Kingzone there in the late game after they got that engagement. And that's why we really highlighted that early start from Fnatic and how they would really need to run with the advantage that they had.
Yeah, I mean, I love the draft from Kingzone. I think it made a lot of sense. I think it played very nicely into the strengths that Fnatic have demonstrated this tournament. The fact that Reckless was put on the Jhin made it even harder for him to properly execute. And while we saw one good team fight at the very end, Kingzone, they just found multiple fights and they won off a relatively clean game.
So, Kingzone join Flash Wolves in the top 4. The battle for seeding gets very interesting. And this now puts so much pressure on Fnatic and Team Liquid. 2 teams that are the closest to securing that 4th seed, the 2 teams that are the closest to being maybe bumped out of contention. Fnatic yesterday looking likely to take 3rd or 4th, but now today, maybe 4th or 5th.
Yeah, Team Liquid fans are also very big EVOS fans because EVOS are playing against both Fnatic and RNG. And if they can take those games and get the opponents a little bit closer in the standings, that would really open the door.
It really, really could. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to head over to the State Farm Analyst Desk to wrap up game number 1.
Thank you very much. Quick shot. A tough loss for Fnatic as Kingzone lock in their semifinal spot with that victory here. And right off the top, I just want to talk about this very intriguing champion select put together by both of these squads.
Yeah, I think you have to start with draft. And the immediate thing that I think is going to pop out to everyone, especially us, was the Sejuani. And when it got locked into the support position as opposed to the jungle position, because I was like, yes, Trundle support, you know, it's about time. And I can understand why they went away from the Trundle support. You know, there's not a lot of tanks on Kingzone's composition. He wasn't going to get super value there, because the thing about putting him in support is he can be low econ and still shred a lot by not having the gold to build those tankier items that he gets from the jungle. So it allowed them to keep priority in the jungle because Trundle stays there, and it gives them a lot of all-in engage potential by having Sejuani in that support.
Yeah, and I think even just looking at the bottom lane in a vacuum, the Sejuani support can work because the Kai'Sa is a pretty short-range AD carry, and Thresh oftentimes isn't able to break the Sejuani shield. So when you opt into the 2v2s or you have gank assist, it can work. And that's why we actually saw them getting some kills early. But where my problem is with the draft, and Azale can get into it in a bit, is how it interacts when you actually get to team fights. Because this is clearly something that can work for Fnatic, has probably worked for them and won them many scrims, but not specifically against what Kingzone drafted.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were actually expecting that Kingzone maybe committing more to split push, and then you have essentially your Scion, you have the Sejuani, you have a lot of hard engage, you can maybe dive the turrets and actually punish them for splitting up, but instead, Kingzone is just bringing the fight to them, and when you're being hard engaged on, the Sejuani doesn't really offer that much in the way of peeling. You know, the Camille comes in, the Gangplank ultimate gets dropped, the ultimatum gets dropped, the Galio is coming in. How do you peel for your AD carry in this situation? There's really nothing the Sejuani can do from there. And it's also extremely difficult for a Yasuo, even with cleanse, when there's that much CC. So to me, it feels like it's one of those things where maybe you're kind of overthinking it or trying to be a little bit too clever when just something more standard like a disengaged support could have been a lot better there. In Alistar, you know, even like a Janna or things like that.
And we'll see examples of where that maybe wanted to come into play. But early on in this game, things looked good for Fnatic, picking up some early kills, getting their carries rolling. And this is kind of where you talk about it, Frost, with this engaged potential. Right? It seems like they're off to the races.
And the thing is a lot of people don't really equate for the burst potential that can come out of Sejuani. That said, this does start initially with the jungle mid duo, but this is where this composition can be very strong, especially in the early game, and it makes sense. Kingzone's comp isn't supposed to be online right now, so Fnatic, they see their window, they have the aggressive jungler in Trundle, and they have no problem pushing into the river and trying to catch Kingzone off guard.
Yeah, and more so than I feel like any other game we've seen this tournament, offense is just rewarded so much over defense. These are two compositions that really can't play defense at all with the Sejuani support. It can't just throw an ult into a Camille with the Galio coming in on top. They have to be offensive. So when Kingzone actually just grouped, which isn't your immediate thought with the GP Camille composition, you're thinking that split push, but it was when they grouped is when they find easy success.
Right, they started to find their team fights around that 20-minute mark. 23 minutes is where they pick up 3 kills in the mid lane, plus a Baron, and now they're in control of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, what is really big here is, despite the good flash, you know, kind of earlier getting away from Reckless, his summoner cooldowns were down. There's no way out when you don't have those summoners, and Caps was actually, you know, basing on the top side of the map. So as soon as he is not there, they pull the trigger, they get 3 kills.
And the thing is, I know a lot of people also look at Reckless's champion pool and be like, why did you go for the Jhin again? It's not working for you. I think he played the Jhin as well as he could have into the situation that he had. Like Camille, Galio, that's going to be very tough. But ultimately, I think that there is a ban strategy against Fnatic now. That was Sivir and Tristana, and then they also banned Ezreal from blue side because they prioritized the jungle matchup. And maybe they have to throw out that Ezreal blue side ban and start prioritizing that for Reckless, especially if teams are going to continue to play this much dive, this much aggressive forward action.
I also want to put a little bit of focus on to how well Kingzone actually played around the Baron once they have the advantage. No chance of a 50-50, going over the wall, taking out the remaining members of Fnatic, essentially getting the delayed ace and the Baron. And that's more what you need to see, you know, and what some teams have failed to do, to kind of really check all the boxes and make sure that Brox has no chance to steal it, because he's shown he will if he's given one.
All right, well, with that, Kingzone does lock their semifinal. Of course, Team Liquid fans are going to be very happy to have seen this because it does open up some more possibilities for them to catch Fnatic in the standings.
Yeah, and this only begins what could be a very crazy day, because Kingzone has underperformed almost everyone's expectations, but with 2 wins today and a couple of Flash Wolves losses, they can still be first.
That's insane. That's just an insane thought that could actually
They've only
be a
lost
reality.
3 games.
It,
3 games feels like way more than we expected them to lose. It's like, oh man, you have this perception they're subbing out junglers.
Right.
You're wondering what's happening with the team. And it's like, yeah, they're 1 game out of first, and they have as many wins as Flash Wolves right now.
That is them being a mess, though. Their best level is so much above, I think, what a lot of the teams are in the competition, that even if they're struggling, they're still amazing.
Yeah, you mentioned bringing in the sub jungler. Cuz did play in this game. It's time for us to head over to Shocks and see what Kingzone's jungler says after that win.
Thank you very much. I am here with Cuz. After Kingzone got their revenge over Fnatic, this was the game your team lost a couple of days ago. So what was the mindset going into this one? And can you tell me specifically about the Camille pick in the jungle?
킹존이 약간 좀 지다가 지금 경기를 한 건데 좀 팀 마인드셋이 어땠나요? 그리고 카밀 정글을 하셨는데 그거에 대해서 좀 말씀해 주세요.
일단 카밀 정글을 한 이유는 좀 제가 솔랭에서 많이 썼던 픽이고 자신 있어 하는 픽이라서 썼던 것 같아요. 질문 다시.
그 팀 약간 멘탈이 어땠나요? 이번 경기에 나오시면서.
저희 멘탈이 살짝 처음에 삐끗해가지고 조금 안 좋아질 것 같았는데 생각보다 다들 멘탈 잘 잡아줘가지고 멘탈 좋은 상태로 계속 게임 이어나가서 이긴 것 같아요.
So first, about my Camille jungle. So I was really confident. I played her a lot. My solo queue, that's why I picked her. And about our team mindset, we are a bit worried, but we succeeded in putting ourselves together and we came back, so that went well.
You also have now 2 wins and 2 times you've played with the team. What is it like for you to sub in knowing that you haven't necessarily played that much with the team on stage and possibly not even in scrims?
사실 서브로 오셨는데 연습도 많이 못 하셨을 것 같은데 이제 어떤가요? 경기를 해보니까.
연습을 많이 못하긴 했는데 그래도 꾸준히 연습해오고 옆에서 봐왔던 것도 있고 이제 같은 정글 라이너인 피넛 형이랑 또 얘기도 많이 하면서 좀 많이 배우기도 하고 서로 얘기도 나누다 보니까 이렇게 또 잘 할 수 있었던 것 같아요.
It's true that I haven't practiced a lot, but still I was always with them during the practice. I watched the videos and I talked a lot with Peanut that helped me a lot, and that's why I was able to play good on stage.
And you played very well. And this also means that you guys are now officially locked in for the top 4, the semifinals in Paris. Is there a team you would like to avoid and why?
이번 경기 우승함으로써 이제 진짜로 준결승 확정된 건데 정말 이 팀은 만나기 싫다 약간 이런 팀 있나요?
RNG한테 역전 당한 기억이 있어가지고 RNG 팀이랑 별로 RNG 팀 좀 잘하는 것 같아요. 우지 선수가 특별히 그래서 RNG를 좀 기피하네요.
So I want to avoid the RNG because Uzi is really good, and I have some memories of where they got we got swept by RNG once. So yeah, Uzi is scary, so I want to avoid RNG.
Really a scary RNG to avoid. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Congratulations on locking that spot in the semifinals. We are going to take a quick break, but we'll be back after the break with more MSI 2018 action.